All right, good afternoon and welcome to Try It Thursdays. And Irene's been with us all week, and she's going to share with us a recipe rather than stories. We're going to hear a little bit about her cooking side of things in her life. So she's going to give us a recipe on pizza puff pastry. It sounds really good, and I will turn this over to Irene. Go ahead and share with us today about how to make this.
The first time I learned about puff pastry, I was in France. My husband's mother and father lived in southern France, and I would come down in the morning and his mother would have this gorgeous pie with all this puff pastry. I thought, how do you do that? She said, oh, it's not too difficult. And so the next morning I got up a little bit earlier because she made these pies every morning. And probably by the end of the week, I was like a half an hour earlier down to breakfast in the small village of Gabillon in southern France. Said, I want to know how you make that pastry. I want to learn how to do that. And she just was embarrassed. She said, it's frozen. I buy it at the freezer in the store. And I thought, oh, now I know. I didn't know what it was. So here in the United States, if you want puff pastry, you can buy it in the freezer. And I thought, was the only place I could buy it until, whoa, I found it at Walmart. Where they sell the pastries to make those little crescent rolls and things like that.
Right.
That's where you find this. This package is under $4. I think it was like $3.98 or something like that. And it has some instructions on the back, but it says puff pastry, and inside is one large sheet of puff pastry. You keep this in the refrigerator. You don't have to thaw it. With the frozen one, you couldn't do anything extemporaneously or impromptu because you had to thaw the dumb thing, and you couldn't put it in the microwave to thaw because it's a very different type of structure. But here, you just it's a kind of a flat thing. You just I put it under my cheese drawer, meat drawer, and I can put 3 in there. I usually have 2 or 3 in my refrigerator, so that you can make so many things with this. You want cherry turnovers? Woo! It's easy with this. But pizza, wow. So you need a large pan, like your huge baking pan. Mm-hmm. And then you need this. This is parchment paper. I buy it at the Dollar Tree for $1. And you need that because you take this out. It's just a very thin paper. And you open this up and make it long enough to fit in that pan. Just pull it out and tear it off. And you put this down in the pan. This huge baking sheet like you'd make cookies on. Mm-hmm. And the pan stays very nice. You don't have to worry about cleaning up the pan afterwards. I like that. I don't like that. One thing when I lived in Thailand, if you did not have someone in your house 24 hours, it would be robbed. So I was told very quickly, you have to have a maid to live in the house, so it's there, or you will be robbed of everything. And I thought, ooh, I can handle that. So you take this out, and it's in a roll, and you unroll it down by the pan and lay it out, and it'll make a sheet that will fill the pan. Mm-hmm. Some people like to use a roller and thin it out. And I thought, no, not for pizza, because when I pick it up, I don't want it to flop around. I want it to be fairly secure. So when you have this puff pastry in your pan, you need a pastry brush, olive oil, or vegetable oil, some kind of oil. I use olive oil because it doesn't have any taste. And everything, all the puff pastry except the outer half inch. So this part of your body, this part of your thumb is 1 inch. to a normal adult. So half of that, maybe the length of your fingernail. So all the way around the puff pastry, you're going to leave a half an inch, and with your pastry brush, you're going to spread that oil out. Because any place where the oil is, the puff pastry is not going to puff up. It's going to puff up on the edges, which are really pretty when you have when you make the pizza. So you've got the cookie sheet, you've got the parchment paper, and now you've got oil on the inside of that puff pastry. And it's looks like pie pastry, normal pie pastry, but it's layers and layers with butter in there, so it's really going to expand. Then you decide, what kind of cheese do you have in the fridge? A lot of people like mozzarella. We use Fiesta, we use cheddar, whatever we have. You don't have to be specific, but you want a half a cup of cheese at least over the oil. So you take the cheese and you just sprinkle it over the oil, just to give a base. And then, what do you have in your kitchen that you could put on a pizza? Salami? Hot dogs? If you have hamburger, you might want to cook it first. Yeah. What have you got on the fridge? What vegetables do you have? Tomatoes? You can cut the tomatoes up, but usually want to get the juice out of them, or use cherry tomatoes. Cut them in half, and rather than have the round part cut where the cherry tomato is longer, if you slice it along the length, then it fills up more. But you have, take them ahead of time, and I cut up my cherry tomatoes, put them in a little bowl. I'll go out in the yard. I've got chives, so I'll grab some chives, bring them in, rinse them off, dry them, cut those up. You can decide, you can cut them with a nice knife, or you can use scissors. Either way for chives. Sometimes I'll get some other spices that are out there, maybe even basil, parsley, and bring that in, clean those. I love to put spinach on my pizza, just for a little bit of green. The chives and the basil and spinach add a lot to it. No sauce. There's no pizza sauce on this pizza. So you have the cheese, and then you think, what do we want? What do the kids like on their pizza? Well, what do you have in the fridge so you don't have to go out and buy anything? Do you have any vegetables? Even carrots, use a peeler and make real thin carrots, or whatever. So we put these layers. You put all these layers of, let's say, maybe some tomatoes. You're not real close together, but just spread them out on the pizza. Cherry tomatoes, salami, and I don't like to bite into a piece of pizza and have just a crunch of salami or pepperoni, because then you have this huge piece hanging out, and I prefer to cut mine into julienne slices. You can put ham or turkey or salami. If you get dry salami, it's the Genoa type salami. You can buy it any place, and it lasts a long time, so you can make a lot of pizzas. It's a great snack for the dogs. So once you have all of the things that you want, what do you like on a pizza? Some people just like cheese and nothing else. Some people just like cheese and pepperoni, nothing else. Mine kind of have a lot of stuff on them. But sometimes we just have the cheese or the mushrooms or whatever. Bacon, sometimes I'll put bacon on them. You cut up the bacon, cooked bacon.
Right.
And so then on top of that, then you want some heavier cheese. So we only put like half a cup down on the bottom on top of that oil, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll put this recipe on my website. I'll put it in my blog for a recipe. If they look up irenebaron.com, I'll do that this weekend. And the recipe can be extensive because you have such variations. You can keep changing things around. So now you've got everything that you want on the pizza. So now you want cheese on the top of all that. And sometimes a cup and a half. How thick do you want your cheese? Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, you're heating up the oven 415 to 420 should be fine. And it's only going to cook 15 minutes at the most. and that's it. So if it's too hot of a day, you may not want to cook pizza. Like in my house, we don't have house air conditioning. We just have a little air conditioner in the kitchen or my daughter's bedroom. So when it's ready to go in the oven, it's got the pizza on the top, then 415 degrees, 15 minutes, and take a peek every once in a while and see if it's the way you want. You don't want it to get too brown. And then just bring it out of the oven when you think it's perfect. And the outside edge that you didn't put any oil on, they puff up really nice. They'll puff up maybe half an inch sometimes or more. And where you had the oil, it just is like where the normal pizza is. Nothing puffs up. And it's just beautiful. When it comes out of the oven, it's just beautiful. And I had a lady here when I was making one for lunch, and she said, "Wow, that is so easy." I said, "Yeah, what do you put on anything you want?" And she went home, and the next day made one for dinner. She made a couple, I think, for dinner. She has 2 growing sons. They're walking famines. And they said, "How did you learn to do that?" And she said, "Oh, Miss Irene showed me how to do that." And she said they loved it because it was something a teenager could make so easily. Any teenager could do that. And it's a beautiful thing, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. It looks like something gourmet. And I love gourmet food. Every city I've been in, I usually started a gourmet club, which was always fun. People love to do that. The one I didn't start the one I'm in here in Zanesville. We had a gourmet club where we would cook, but as we got older, we decided we'll go out to eat. So we still have our club, but we don't cook for everyone else now. Yeah. So anyway, you've got this pizza. When it's finished, you take it out. I should let it cool just a little bit. You can cut it with a knife. You can cut it with your pizza cutter, anything you want. And it's just so easy. And you can see, you put the puff pastry out. You oil inside a ½ an inch border with a pastry brush. Not real thick, just enough to coat it. And if you get too much, you can just do a paper towel and get it up. And then you put on whatever you want, a little bit of cheese first, and whatever you want, and then cheese on top. And my daughter likes goat cheese. When it comes out of the oven, she said, "Let's put some goat cheese on it." And that little bits of white around the pizza really make it look beautiful. And the goat cheese melts just a little bit, so when you cut it, it's so smooth in the mouth. Oh. So that's puff pastry. It's so fast. So if you take canned cherry tomato pie filling, cherry pie filling, put it in a bowl, almond extract, always put a little bit of almond extract in your cherry filling. That's how they make it taste good. And you can use it's the same puff pastry. You can just make squares. How big do you want your turnover? Just half of a square. So you can get small ones or bigger ones, or just however you want. And I use you don't have to, but once you put a little bit of the cherry filling in and turn it over to make the triangle, use a fork to press down the edges. Mm-hmm. Put it in the oven, 15-20 minutes. 15 usually. Check. You don't have to put anything on it. Some people will put a light egg on the surface or sprinkle it with sugar or something, but you don't need it. Or some people like icing, like Arby's. They have cherry turnovers. Yeah. And these are gone fast. They have apple ones too, but I don't want the apple one.
Now we know the Arby's secret, huh?
Yeah. But they probably get them frozen.
Probably.
Last night, I picked up a couple sandwiches because their brisket is just really wonderful. And I said, I'd like 2 cherry turnovers. And the fellow stopped and he said, I don't think we have any. I said, you don't have cherry turnovers? He said, no, we have apple. And I was going to say, well, I don't think so. And he said, wait a minute. And he left for about 30 seconds. He came back, yeah, we've got them. They just came out of the oven. I thought, a warm cherry turnover. I love it. But they're easy to make at home.
Sounds very wonderful.
$4 for this puff pastry. You can't go wrong using it. And on the back, it has some little recipe things here. And if you go online, puff pastry recipes, oh my goodness, you can just find everything. And it's so easy. And it makes it look like you've been working in the kitchen 20 hours. You look so professional, so beautiful. People say, wow, you did this? Yeah.
Yeah. Of course.
Now, I know my former mother-in-law was embarrassed because it was so easy. And here I was thinking it was going to take hours to make this puff pastry. Nope. It's very easy.
Well, that was so fun. I thank you for sharing that with us. And like I said, it making me a little hungry. Thank you for sharing that recipe. And it's going to be, she said she's going to post it on her website. I'll post it with this post too when we post the video. And thank you, Irene. And she's been with us here all week. And tomorrow is Thursday, Friday. And we get to hear a little bit more of her art side. And her favorite side is artwork. So I will, we'll see you tomorrow then, Irene. Thank you so much for that wonderful recipe.